Just to kind of wrap up trade deadline talks, because it happened over the weekend, the Mavericks acquired Kyrie Irving. The Mavericks got better, no doubt. I mean, I don't know how much you're holding on to the idea that the Kings are going to be the third seed at the beginning of April, but competition for the Kings there just got a little tougher. And I think as we see this, we kind of anticipated anyways. I mean, like you're seeing like you would expect, although the injury to Curry is kind of interesting, everybody expects the Warriors to kind of get it going later in the year. The Suns were without Devin Booker for a long time. We just watched the Kings play the Pelicans, a team that's kind of missed different guys for different periods of time. I guess things were going to get tougher no matter what. This just makes it a little more tougher, I guess, is probably the way to look at it, if anything. And it's just the reality of the constant need to constantly try to get better. That reality. It's kind of interesting. You're jumping from last season not being a contender or anything like that, and now all of a sudden you're a contender, and it's like these big trades for other teams. Now they kind of, especially when it happens in your conference, like now it kind of involves you. Like the point I'm trying to make is like, this trade happens last season. Like, who cares? Like the Kings are just trying to get on their feet here. Well, now it somehow implicates you and a lot of other teams.
Well, kind of going back what you were saying, like the Kings are the third seed. Like you told me the Kings were 30-23 at this point in the year, and you asked me what seed they were in. I'd probably say around like the sixth, right? So It is interesting that they're 7 games above 500 in the third seed in the West. Usually that's, I don't know, I don't feel like the third seed's usually around that mark at this time. So yeah, the Mavs are 29-26, only 2 games behind the Kings in that third seed. And even the Timberwolves at the 8th seed are only 2.5 games behind the Kings for the third seed. So it's very close. Even with the 10th seed, which is the last play-in seed, they're only 4 games behind the seeds. So it's very close. I mean, they still seem like they are on pace to make the playoffs, but I mean, if they go on like a losing streak, there's like the possibility that they can drop into a play-in spot. It's very tight in the West right now. So the Mavericks only 2 games behind the Kings right now in the standings, and they just got Kyrie Irving, a guy who will make the team better. I mean, the Kings really got to buckle down, start winning some games, really. I mean, it's like they aren't, but it's going to get tough to end the season. But just in general, it's going to be tough to end the season, trying to end that playoff drought. This team's going to try to start climbing up the ladder. I mean, the Warriors just lost Steph, so, maybe that helps their chances. But teams are going to start trying to climb up, and we'll see what the Kings can do to try to keep in that top half of the Western Conference. It'll be interesting. But, yeah, I mean, the Mavs getting Kyrie, it definitely affects the Kings because it will mess with their seeding possibly. So the Mavericks now look like they can probably try to take that third seed, maybe even that second seed. I mean, the Kings are only 2 games behind the second seed in the Grizzlies. That's how close the West is. So, like any kind of trade that can shake up the Western Conference standings significantly.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting. And to your point, last season at this time, Memphis was in third with 38 wins and 18 losses. So I hadn't even thought about that. I mean, the Kings, I don't want to like discredit the progress they've made, but the time to prove yourself is gonna come soon. And yeah, that Irving trade kind of underlines that.